doing or what they're having problems with, and build those things. Let's see. And so, other excuse is too hard. And so I think this is why a lot of people think it's too hard, is that you kind of get bombarded with all these like keywords that you get scared. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what any of these things mean. If I do something, I'll screw it all up. And you know, and honestly, you should probably just ignore all of it. And I'm not a lawyer, so don't come in. But like, I didn't do any of these things. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have any of this. And you just get started immediately on that problem. You already know what your customer problem is. Hopefully, you know that they're willing to pay you for it. And you should just start building it and worry about the other stuff later. Or at least have someone else worry about it, not you. So, kind of this mantra that you'll see a lot of companies, like 37 Signals follows this. You know, the startup I'm working on, we try to follow as much as possible, but do less than you need to. Like I said before, you know your customer. Hopefully, by this time, you're using their problems to form your product, and so it's not a matter of, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna have product market fit, or I don't know any of this stuff, because you already know they want it. They're hopefully asking you and calling you and saying, when the hell are you gonna finish this? Because I want it. So this is the ideal place. And as you're building this whole thing, just keep it so simple that it just can't be screwed up. So simple, usable is sexy, for lack of a better word. You just want to make something just have them want it so bad they just can't live without it. It's so easy to use. And Google follows the same mantra. So Microsoft Word pretty much everyone uses and has about 1 billion features, and 99% of them no one ever uses. So Google, having done nothing in like word processing, with like Google Apps, so they're doing like Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets and all that stuff. But they only pick and choose the most critical things that people want to do. I want to type a document, I want to print it. You don't have 1 billion things that they want to do. And I mean, I use it, I know some other people that use Google Docs, and stuff like that. It's just so simple and usable that I will always go back to Google Docs versus, say, another software, just because it's so easy to use. So, something to keep in mind. Going with this whole less mantra, we follow that same path at Orange QC. Just kind of give a little story. So there are other companies that are doing what we're doing. So we're doing quality control software, and our focus is definitely, without a doubt, less features, less requirements, less overhead, all of that stuff. Simply because all these other features just aren't being used by customers. Your customers will tell you what they want, and everything else that you're building in because you think they want it typically just goes unused. So it's not a feature; it's just overhead and something you have to maintain later. So try to build something simple, usable. Try to cut out all the garbage that you don't need, and just trudge forward. So less complexity, keyword. And so kind of just talking about different business models. This is the way people traditionally think. So your competitor has X features, and you need 100 more features than them. And in reality, you should be cutting those features in half. You should pick your X number of features you want, and even take that away. You want to have less than them because you want to maintain less, and most of the time your customers just want something simple that does their job. If there's so much complexity that they can't use it, then you have 0 features. You might have 100 unusable features, which is worthless. So focus on simplicity, cut all those features in half, and hopefully they'll be calling you and saying, hey, there's this other program that's doing this. We really want that. Great. That's when you build it. And so you can use your customer to guide the direction that you're building your products. And favor usability over complexity is kind of the whole. We haven't been talking about simplicity. A lot of products, and even from the ISAs had a meeting yesterday with this like tripod phone in the middle. It's supposed to do conference calls. And it still took it. I mean, it would randomly drop. We tried to press this big button for calling, and it would sometimes work. Brian was on the line, then it got cut off, and we couldn't figure out how to use a phone. It's simple task, but it's so complex to use, and it just doesn't do its main job. That it's aggravating to use. So definitely favor usability over complexity. And then Jason Fried, 37 Signals, underdo your competition. That's kind of their whole mantra. they built a product that competes with Microsoft Project. And there's a lot of people that love Microsoft Project, people that hate Microsoft Project. And it's, probably do everything in Microsoft Project. But they built a product that does just the core things that you need in project management. And so, this a line to keep in mind is underdo your competition. And it definitely makes this whole, I'll swing back to this too hard thing, it definitely makes it much, much easier when you're worrying about less than all this huge behemoth system or product that your competitors are worried about. You're focusing on just the core things that actually make a difference to your customers. So, those are all of my slides. So I was hoping to finish quick to kind of leave room for questions or discussion or whatever.
Can you tell us about this whole program that you use to?
Yeah, so this is actually a startup, a web startup, that they didn't like the way Microsoft PowerPoint was very linear in the way that you compose ideas. So, like you can see this. When I was building this, I just threw a bunch of ideas down on this, big canvas, and you could zoom into them and stuff. So this is Prezi. Prezi, P-R-E-Z-I. And it's free for students, so sign up and it's pretty cool. And so it kind of gives a little touch to your presentation. And like I said, it's a web startup. They're trying to rethink the way presentations go. It's kind of, kind of branching off of this different flow of presentations. So even stuff like PowerPoint, everyone uses PowerPoint. These guys are competing with, the big gorilla in the room. So.
You've been using PowerPoint since 3rd grade. It's starting to get old.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's very repetitive.
So do you just use your mouse to drag whatever you want around?
Yeah, and you can put down text or it's kind of weird with images. I had that. I was going to play that Gary Vaynerchuk video, but it's kind of choking on that. It's like I said, it's a web startup. They're kind of fresh out of the gate, but it's definitely something cool to check out. And stuff like this, it's happening all the time. Especially the Microsoft products. I don't want to diss them, but people are always building stuff that's competing with it. Google's building Docs, Prezi's building PowerPoint stuff. And so it's definitely something to check out. There's always, even huge companies that are already in the market, there's always room for people that want some change. You only need a little sliver of the market. You don't need 99% of the market for it to impact a lot of people and help your customers.
What was your field startup freshman year?
So I remember the company was Hyperstrike. So they were actually an established company. I think I saw them on TechCrunch, and they had. It was supposed to be like online, personal trainer, fitness, yada yada yada. And I'm thinking this is kind of a neat idea, but all of it's on the web. There's no way to take it with you. You can't take it, at the gym where you would actually use it. So I was going to write some software to kind of integrate with theirs, so you could take it on your iPod or because iPhones were around at the time. But you would take it on your iPod, your mobile device. You could have your workouts with you and with you when you go. And so I was working with them, and one of the things that definitely screwed me up was trying to make everything more complex. I was worrying about all of these things. Let's see. These, like all this stuff. So before I even started building the product, I was talking to lawyers and dumped some money into that. And so I think that was like the one reason why I failed there. And it was just, once you get a lawyer involved, everything's negotiation, before you know it, it was just silly to continue on. So I was just stuck with some lawyer bills and no product, no nothing. I didn't even start building anything. So.
What kind of products do you build for your Orange QC?
Okay, so I'll make it. I'll like dazzle it up a little bit. So there's like universities, like hospitals, like military bases. A lot of them like outsource their janitorial work or like food service work. And so along with this, there's usually like quality control, which is literally people walking around and keeping track of, this table's dirty, this floor's clean, or if you're, like cafeteria, this has been cleaned, this schedule, yada yada. And there's not really an easy way of knowing any of that. It's all just done on paper, and before the end of the month, you just get a huge stack of paper, and that's how often it's been cleaned, is a huge stack of paper. And so what we do is we do it all digitally, and so we have like iPod Touch and like an iPhone application where like supervisors would walk around and keep track of all that. And so we're software as a service, so all of that's just stored on our servers. And so just recently, they kind of made us